I know Ms. Kroll's wanted to talk about exhibits.
Yes, please.
You have the floor.
Thank you. Judge, so I'd like to, although we haven't moved any in really, but I'd like to talk about the ones that were scheduled for today first, because some of them have to do with our first witness. So if I could direct the court to Defense Exhibit 31970001. It's an email from Ms. Laporte to Beata Kowalski.
Hang on, what is the number again, counsel?
Sure, 31970001. Well, I think we just put 1.
Okay.
It's on the bottom of the first page. So, Judge, just to orient the court,
She's the case manager.
she's the case manager. She is the one that is going to testify. She was on the phone with Beata. That was played in the jury. This is her advising Beata the things that you cannot discuss or should not discuss on the phone call.
Well, you say this is 7 pages. Can I see the other?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It should just be, no, it just says 1. No, 3197, just 1 page.
That's 3197. And plaintiffs.
Well, the main problem, Judge, there's several. The main problem is that this, again, gets into Chapter 39 issues as to management communications between and among the actual, with one of the parties by another party here. I guess they would be classified a party. First, it's hearsay, but however, we have been trying, and we tried 3 times to get into evidence. The Beatty email, it's 2123-610. 3 times we tried to get that into evidence, and it was excluded based on the fact that the court did not want to get into any of the Chapter 39 discussions back and forth about the management of Maya in the case, because it prompts us, I guess them in that point of view, to have to come in with countervailing evidence, of which we have plenty, but it's going to quickly devolve into a discussion of what's in the orders, what's not in the orders, and the potency, if you will, of any DCF directives. And pointing out, this isn't even DCF, and this isn't even Suncoast. This is Pathways, which is another contractor, which I believe is either contractor or subcontractor to DCF. So again, we get into a lot of different issues that are inappropriate based on the court's, I think the test set by the court previously in our case.
Well, the case manager was specifically authorized by the court to supervise the calls at this time, right?
Oh, yeah.
So when the supervisor is laying out the ground rules, how is that not appropriate for this time period that we're talking about?
Because the orders in place at this time limit it, again, to the caseworker and to one other person. The what?
Guardian ad litem.
That's right, the GAL on it. And we have issues about Beatty participating in these things. I don't think she's on this particular one. But the point is, we have the orders from this time period, and none of these orders allow the things that they're suggesting here.
Well, but to be clear, you're not suing DCF or the contractor, and so the suggestion that you can hold Johns Hopkins liable for the actions of DCF or its contractors is an inappropriate thought process. So my question to Ms. Crowell is how do you get around the hearsay issue?
Well, Judge, first it's a business record because it's an email from her work email to the client. Plus, it's not hearsay. It's not for the truth of the matter. It's to advise. It's to say that she was advised of these things. It's to show that she was told these things. Ms. Laporte's going to come in. She can identify it if it needs identification. And she is advising Ms. Kowalski what you should not do.
We're receiving the evidence exhibit 31970001.
And Your Honor, along those lines, then the plaintiffs will be allowed to cross-examine based on the order in place.
It's Ms. Crowell's turn for
Sorry.
evidence. You all spend a lot of time trying to get evidence in. The defense needs, some opportunity to get its evidence in.
3198-0001. It's a follow-up email, sent the next day at 7:40 a.m.
Well, I see the first two paragraphs, but the balance of the paragraphs, that seems like it's really going to prove the truth of the matter asserted, which is what happened in those prior conversations.
Well, Judge, again, I think it is a business record in the sense that she is communicating in her role to the Kowalski, or Mrs. Kowalski. She retains it in her records. It's a business record. Also advising her, if you want to leave off the first sentence that talks about that and just start in the future, please try to avoid discussing the case with Maya. That's again, notice to Mrs. Kowalski that she is not to discuss the case on the phone calls.
To that.
Mr. Whitney.
The other problem, Your Honor, in addition to the hearsay within hearsay, is if you look at the bottom of the page, they're not offering the complete communication.
I'm sorry, which one?
You can see there's an original message. They've only attached this. Clearly there's a previous communication here.
Well,
What's the next page?
I didn't put that one. The next, we can show it, I guess, but do you want to see 002?
Please.
Okay, can you bring up 3198-0002? No, I know, can you bring up the next? 3199. Oh, could be. Yeah.
Well, you see the little PLT Bates number? I would assume it's the next Bates number.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Judge. So, do you have a 59876? Not on the exhibits, just in our file. All right, well, we're looking for that, Judge. Can we move on to the next one?
Yes.
Okay. The next one would be 32170669.
3217, which one?
0669.
Okay.
So, Judge, I would point out a couple things. One, this has been produced long ago. Puts everyone involved on notice that Charlotte McCourt was the one that was on the recording and redirecting the call. And it's advising again, Ms. Kowalski what she can and cannot do.
Well,
And it's a business record.
it looks like there's a prior email. Can I see the next page?
No, the prior email she's referencing in the first line was the
It's at the bottom of the
was
page.
the 31980001.
Oh.
Beata's email, Judge? Is that what you're referencing? The sentence that starts, I understand you only received the email 15 minutes prior to your call, is referencing the email that is in evidence, which is the 31980001 email.
So, we're not moving in at the same time with the instruction that Kathy B should not be part of the conversation?
Well, I'm sorry, Judge, what are you referencing?
I'm just looking at the email from Beata Kowalski that started this.
Oh, did you bring it up?
Yeah.
Okay, we can put that in, Judge, if you want.
No.
I mean, if you think that needs to go in for context, but I mean, she's responding.
Put it in.
Is the email that's at the bottom of 067 the one that we were just looking at a moment ago?
I am out in the field. I think he's done with this one here.
Don't believe so, Your Honor. I think it's a different communication. Go back to 670, please.
I'm out in the field all day today.
I think that's a different communication, Your Honor.
Or discussing and trying to figure out.
Yes.
So if we go to 671, we might be able to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's be the same one. And it looks like this page answers the question as to what was left off the previous.
Okay, I'm sorry, can you be more specific on this page? I'm trying to follow the what we're
Well,
looking at.
there was one, I didn't put a little star next to it, but you showed us only one page of an email and you were saying, while we try to find the other page.
We were looking for it.
Right, this might be that other page.
Oh,
Or it's what you're showing us now is the later of the email string, so this exhibit might.
yes, I believe what you're looking at now, Judge, 32170671, has part of the email that I first showed the court of 3198001. If you see at the top, it says also yesterday when you were on the phone. That's the middle of the email that the court has put in.
So that, you said it much more articulately than I was. Can I look at 0672 to make sure that there's not another piece of this email chain?
That's December 7th, Judge.
Yeah, okay, so 0671 seems to start the email thread, so.
Correct.
Can you put back 0671, let me.
Well, it's not, it doesn't show the whole email though, Judge, and I don't know why there's so many different copies of it, but 31980001, I was gonna say 3981 is the complete email that is at the top of 3217067.
Well, I haven't compared 31981, but I think 31981 is on both 3217-0670 and 0671. Start at the bottom and at the top.
Can I see 0670? Yeah, that is correct.
So 3217 has the complete email exchange on this specific subject.
There's no dates on the first one on 0670. So
Well, I
we're
think
missing the beginning.
Well, you'd have to go to 0669.
Yes.
Because it's 3 pages.
Yes. Yes, I guess, Judge, what I was trying to do when I separated them out was to put them in order because the email chain goes backwards. And so I was trying to be consecutive as to how they've happened, but that may be not feasible to separate them out. Because you can see this one's at 11:33 in the morning, the 0669 at the beginning, and then it goes down to 11:10 in the morning, and then the next 0678, it's 10:39 in the morning, so they go backwards.
Okay, so what is the plaintiff's position?
Well, we maintain our objection to now introducing these emails. You can see Deborah Salisbury on the email. You can see Megan Leaf, Sarah Runovich, all sorts of DCF representatives. And when we tried to introduce evidence of this nature, the response was, if there was any dispute, the relief was available in the dependency court. So now to have them come in and offer all sorts of evidence that where if they wanted to modify the rules, their relief was in the dependency court. We have here Charlotte Laporte interpreting orders, claiming that she can use her discretion to do things that are not stated in the order, for example, hospital staff being in the room. Additionally, with respect to Kathy Beatty being in the room or not in the room, that's absolute hearsay. She wasn't even present at the hospital. She'd have no way to know that. That is clearly a statement offered for the truth of the matter. She was not present to know one way or the other. So this is riddled with problems from our perspective.
Double hearsay.
Judge, the difference is the exhibit that they wanted to put in was a communication regarding communication with the court. This is one of their big themes is that we were redirecting the phone call. First of all, the one they played wasn't Kathy Beatty. This all goes to support the testimony of Ms. Laporte when she's going to say it was me on the phone. This is her telling her.
And I already gave you another email on that specific call.
Well, I didn't know if you were letting that in, Judge. I was confused.
Well, 3197, didn't that one come in?
31, okay. Yes, 3197001 is it. So, and I understand we're walking a road here that we're trying to stay on, Judge, the path. But I think this is knowledge of Beata Kowalski as to what she could and could not address on the phone call. But, and I think that's the other reason I tried to parse out ones, because I thought they were, they didn't reference, try not to reference the judge, try not to reference the court, communications with the court.
Can you put back up 3197 for me, please?
31971. Yeah.
Your Honor, if I could offer something.
Yeah.
If the court, and the court's already ruled that this email is coming in, we oppose that. However, given that this email of November 15th is coming in where she's apparently trying to give Beata notice of her rules, then we think Beata's email the following day explaining that she never received that email needs to be in evidence.
Which goes back to the 3-1.
She doesn't say
3-2-1-7.
she
Yes, Your
never
Honor.
received it. The next,
Before the call.
right, because in the next email says from Ms. Laporte, I understand you only received it 15 minutes prior. I advised you of that when you called. I understand you have not read it. You know, I mean, it's not antagonistic, Judge. It's just, we're not trying to say she was deliberately violating the rules. It's just, this is the scenario.
Let's go back to 3-2-1-7, starting at the original, which is 671. Okay, so we have Beata's request to Charlotte Laporte for a phone call. Can you put up 670 and 671 at the same time? Then the response from Ms. Laporte is discussion. Here's my thought, Ms. Corral. I think if ultimately you're gonna, if you want the 3-2-1-7 exhibit, we're gonna have to start it out all the way at the beginning, and then there's only gonna be a few things that we're gonna have to redact out.
Well,
Because I mean, this clearly says, Beata does not want Kathy to supervise, and, you know,
I understand, Judge, and then the next one says she was in the room,
yeah.
so,
So knowing that if you're gonna proceed on 3-2-1-7, it's, the whole thing is gonna come in with some redactions.
one second.
Your Honor, we think if 3197-1,
Judge, we'll just withdraw them at this time.
and that's the problem. If 3197-1 is in, then
You've got a rebuttal case.
Judge, we'll withdraw them at this time.
both of them, all of them.
Yeah, we'll withdraw them.
Even the one that,
The
even
one
the-
that the court admitted. Because you
including
said
the
we
one
can't have
that,
that in without all the others, right?
No, I think he's letting that.
Oh, you're letting in,
3197 is separate. It's
Okay.
not part of that email chain.
all right, that's fine, we'd like to leave that in there.
What's next?
Sure.
Well, here's your cross.
32170622.
3-2, what?
170622.
Uh-huh.
0622.
This 622 through 634.
It is actually through 632, 0632. So the first email, the email chain starts at the bottom of 0622, Judge, and the rest are just the attachments, the letter, and the photos that she's referencing. And it's Ms. Kowalski advising Charlotte that Maya hasn't received the pictures, and then Charlotte advising at the top that it's the first time I've gotten them. I'm sending them to Kathy to print them out and give them to Maya.
Oh, thank you.
And what are the, because it says begin forwarded message, so what's, I guess on 633?
I think that's the, if you turn the, 02, so that's the November 25th email saying, please give this to my daughter. You may recall the plaintiffs testifying that we
The
didn't.
next page.
The next page are just the attachments, Judge. They're the, keep going, please. Through 0631.
What says the plaintiffs?
Well, you have Verinia Van Ness, one of the family's attorneys, copied on these emails. That seemed to be problematic in our case. Other than that,
We could remove the CC.
We don't have much of an issue.
We could remove the CC if that's,
Can you go back to the first page? Okay, let's redact out Verania Van Ness on 0622. Is she on any of the other pages?
she's on 0623 as well, at the top.
So with that redaction, I'll let in 3217-622 through, is it 632 or 634?
It is, starts at 0622
And
and
goes-
goes through 0632.
0632 as redacted, so we'll need to get to the clerk
Yes, we can do that.
the redacted pages.
3217-0633.
06.
Which is it?
633. Is
And
this
goes
six-
to 0634.
Can we start at 634 so I can actually read it in context? Okay, and then go back to 633. What says the plaintiffs?
It's hearsay, Your Honor. It's offered for the truth of the matter asserted. Ms. Laporte's claiming she did not receive the original email.
And we can't produce Beata to contest it.
Oh.
this does seem to be hearsay, Ms. Crowell. Any response?
Is well, Ms. Laporte will come in and will testify regarding this situation, but, I mean, is this, what's the hearsay objection? I mean, I did not receive the original email. The rest is simply forwarding a document to Kathy requesting that she print it.
It's about, can you take action here?
I don't understand what you're saying, Mr.
Yes, the hearsay objection is I did not receive the original email. It's a factual statement. It's hearsay.
More, and equally important is directing action, which we can't then come in across whether it's ever taken up.
Anything, Ms. Gross?
Yeah.
Okay, so that one's not coming in, is that?
Oh, I'm sorry, I asked you.
Oh, yeah, I'm asking you, because the email from Charlotte Laporte to Kathy Beatty, where's the hearsay exception?
Well, Judge, it's simply advising Ms. Beatty and requesting that she print the document. It's not,
I agree with the plaintiffs, I did
Okay.
not receive the
All right.
original email. It's
All right,
being
I'll just have her
proof-
testify about it,
The
Judge.
truth of the matter asserted,
okay.
so that one's, no. Okay, we're past 9 o'clock, Ms. Crowell, how many more of these do we have to do?
That's fine, Judge, we'll move them in later, I'll just talk, we'll address moving them in later, I'll just talk with Ms. Laporte about some things on that topic I wanted to make sure. So, Ms. Laporte came into the case after the shelter order was already in place. And she was tasked then with being the case manager, meeting with Maya at least every 20 some days, and I think then she hands it off at some point to the Pinellas County people. But I think I need to I want to make sure I do it the right way. Let the jury know what's the status at that point. So at the point that she comes into contact with the Kowalskis, the mom is not entitled to have any, contact with Maya other than written and supervised phone calls. And I'd want to make sure I do that in the right way. I don't want me to reference that there's a court order in place. You want me just to say, can I just say at the time that you were began your involvement with the Kowalski matter, the status was that the mom was only allowed supervised calls and written communication.
Are you going to reference a specific date when Ms. Laporta began?
Yes, because the first phone call is November 15th. So I can say at the first phone call and in that email date that is in evidence is November 15th. So as of November 15th, when you are arranging the first phone call for Beata Kowalski, the status was that phone calls were required to be supervised. Do you want me to say per court order? You don't want me to mention court?
Let me hear from the plaintiffs.
Within, depending on when she actually came in, there was an order entered by Judge Hayworth on the 10th of November 2016. Contact between Ms. Kowalski and Maya. Contact shall be through written correspondence. Each may send letters, magazines, or written material to the other, provided is first reviewed by a designee of Safe Child Coalition, I guess Ms. Laporte, who shall forward approved documents promptly to the recipient. Documents deemed not appropriate may be withheld by SSC, and the attorneys advised of the reason. Telephone communications between the mother and Maya is authorized, but only when supervised by a guardian ad litem or a case manager, at times convenient to the facility. And then there are further requirements of the facility. So they're bound by, for all of the things I think they're testifying about, the order of November 10th, 2016, which has significantly different requirements than I think what Ms. Laporte was trying to put on the Kowalskis. And I would like to be able to ask her where in this order.
I will tell you again, the DCF and the contractors are not the hospital. If DCF or the contractors did something that you don't like, that's a different lawsuit. That is not the lawsuit against the hospital. So let's not even contemplate, let's talk about what DCF and the contractors did. All Ms. Crowell's was asking of the court was, can she say, as of the November 15 call, the status was Beata Kowalski only had the ability to have supervised phone calls and the letters, the mail, or whatever it was. That was what Ms. Crowell's was asking, and I was seeking the plaintiff's input, not to change topics on us.
The problem is, Judge, it's not so much that we have a problem, well, we obviously do, but our point is, in order to appropriately and effectively cross-examine them, we need to point out where what they were saying and doing, they had no power to do. In fact, they were in direct violation of some orders here. I would like to be able to cross on the fact that, for instance, Kathy Beatty was not supposed to be a part of any of these calls. And maybe the best thing to do is just ask her, you were aware that Ms. Beatty wasn't supposed to be on any of these calls?
The problem with Ms. Crawls.
Can we stay on the one
Yes.
issue that we were actually talking about?
Yes.
That is.
And let's just keep it there.
All right. So the
Because
suggestion.
we're now at 9:10, and we're on day 2 of the juries cooling their jets here, which I don't like. So, on the specific issue that Ms. Crowell's, agree or disagree?
Disagree.
I agree. You can do it that way.
Thank you.
Your Honor,
Judge,
it leaves
It's
aside some of the status.
Ms. Crowell's turn. You all got to drive it in your case in chief. She gets to drive it when it's in the defense case in chief.
Right. Judge, the other issue that will come up is, as mentioned, that any written communication first was vetted by you before it would be passed on to Ms. Beatty or some other person to give to Maya Kowalski. I want to establish that fact.
But the case manager or the guardian.
Pardon me?
Case manager or the guardian.
Yes, 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 yes. She was tasked with doing the background checks with respect to anyone that wanted to come and visit Maya. It is her anticipated testimony that unless they were cleared or vetted by her agency, which was tasked with it, they had no authority or permission to visit Maya.
Is that a piece of the dependency court order?
Yes, I believe so, that they had to be, that was the, I don't remember exactly if it's precisely in the order, but it was clear that, yes, because the judge at one point even put in an order that she could have 2 relatives and 2 friends.
Oh, you're talking about the relatives and friends?
That was on the November 10th order, that she could have 2 friends and 2 relatives and they all had to be cleared by DCF or their subcontractor.
I don't understand why we can't just take care of these things with, on the court order, the eventual.
You may recall the church lady that came in, Judge, and they made a big issue in the plaintiff's case that we kick these people out. And she will establish that before anyone can see Maya, they had to be vetted. Jack gave her a list, and then she would do the background checks.
The problem is it mischaracterizes the nature of the order. That paragraph refers to contact specifically between her peers and relatives. She could have 2 peers and 2 relatives. Church ladies were neither. So that doesn't say she's not allowed visitors outside of the 2 peers and 2 relatives she's allowed.
Judge, the court was limiting the amount of people that were going to be given permission. And is it plaintiff's position that that meant anybody else could come see her that weren't vetted? I mean, clearly,
Well,
Ms. Laporte's testimony, if allowed, and it should be, I believe, that her job was to do the background checks on anybody that wanted to visit Maya. That's DCF rules. That's the way it works when you have a child that's sheltered. And she got a list from Jack as to who he wanted to have approved, and she would do that background check. And if they were not on the list and not vetted, they were not allowed to visit.
well, again, we have to be very specific about times. And paragraph C, Mr. Whitney does refer to 2 child friends and 2 relatives for unsupervised contact. Doesn't say anything about prohibiting supervised contact with others.
Now I'm talking about supervised contact. I'm saying that this child could not just be visited by anybody that wanted to walk in the door. Those are DCF rules, Judge. I mean, this child is sheltered. I don't know if it's specifically in the order, to be frank with the court. But the DCF rules, when someone is sheltered, is that then they are protected. And in order to protect the child, no one gets to see the child unless they have been vetted. That's the DCF rules. She is under DCF rules at this point.
The dependency court order here limited for unsupervised contact 2 child friends and 2 relatives, but doesn't talk about supervised visitation with others.
I understand
I
that,
mean,
Judge.
outside of, Jack Kowalski.
I understand that, Judge, but she is sheltered under DCF. DCF rules are that if you're sheltered, you cannot have anybody visit you that has not been vetted. It may not be in a court order, but that she is under DCF rules. Then DCF rules take over, and under DCF rules, anybody who's sheltered, they have to be vetted, which of
Going
course
back
makes
to
sense.
where you started all of this, you wanted to ask if she was the person that was to conduct the background checks.
Yes, yes, and that
And that question is fine.
okay. And under DCF rules, if you are not cleared, you are not,
I think I can handle that next issue by a jury.
advising them that
As
DCF,
as to what the dependency court order allowed or didn't allow.
Judge, I don't think that covers the entire topic, because she is sheltered into DCF rules, and DCF rule, and with DCF has its own guidelines and that they have to follow.
I would imagine I can handle, if we need to instruct as to what DCF guidelines are, I think I can handle that by a jury instruction. I don't
Okay.
need a person to come in and interpret DCF's
Okay,
rules and regulations,
so to make sure I'm clear, Judge, so you're fine with me asking her if she was the one that was tasked with vetting the persons who wanted to see Maya?
We object to that question as phrased because it's not specific to date, and she was not even involved until mid-November, so she couldn't have been the one that was doing this, performing this function. And we have communications from Jack Kowalski that he was sending to others at DCF and not this subcontractor.
so long as you're clear on the date, you can
Okay.
ask the question if she was the one that was to do the background check.
Okay.
Is there anything else, or can we bring in the jury?
Well, I think she's here, Judge, and I mentioned it to her, but I just want to emphasize with Ms. Laporte, because her natural go-to when I ask questions is to say, well, the court, and I've told her that she cannot do that, and I want to go out there and just re-emphasize with her
Yes, you can, but.
that, real
really-
quickly, that she is not to refer to what's happened in the court or court orders. Is that,
Yes.
okay?
Or DCF rules. We're going to handle that through a jury instruction if necessary.
I agree with Mr. Whitman on that.
Okay, I just want to go do that very briefly, Joe.
Thank you.
She's here in the hallway till.
She is, okay.
Let's bring in the jury.
As long as I can, at the time for Dyer, if we get into one of those issues.
Do what they did, ask to approach.
Yep.
All rise, jurors entering.
Okay, please be seated, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. I want to confirm while you're away, you did not discuss this case amongst yourselves, you did no investigation, and you did not receive any information about the case. Is that all correct? Correct. And overnight, no one approached you about this case. Is that correct? And you did not observe any media accounts of this case. Is that correct? Correct. Thank you very much. Ms. Crowells.
Yes, Your Honor, can I please call Charlotte LaPorte?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, if you just walk right over this deputy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you go ahead and state your name for the record?
Charlotte Laporte.
Ms. Laporte, we're going to get into your background, but just so the jury understands where we're going, at one point in time, in November of 2015, were you a case manager involved with the Kowalski family and the DCF matter?
Yes, I was.
Okay, all right. So let's give the jury just a little bit of your background. Can you go through your educational background for us?
Okay, I have my associates in human services, my bachelor's in social work, and a master's in psychology.
Okay. Let's talk about your work background. So I understand starting in 2009, you started to work for the Department of Health. If you could explain what you were doing and where you were working.
Okay, so I worked on the University of South Florida campus. That's where they house children's medical services and their medical foster care team. So I was a social worker for medical foster care.
Can you explain to the jury what medical foster care is?
Okay, medical foster care is when a child needs a higher level of medical care. They've come in from egregious abuse or medical neglect, and a lot of times it's the children are on vents. They need higher interventions than a normal foster home would be able to accommodate. So I worked with them to ensure the children were getting what they were needing, that parents were able to be engaged in their medical care to the best of their ability, and attend court hearings, present how the child is doing, how the parents are doing.
Okay. So was that from 2009 to 2014 that you were involved with working for the Department of Health as a social worker with medical foster care? Is that accurate?
Correct, yes.
Okay, all right. And then where did you go from there?
Then I went to work for Pathways as a case manager.
Can you explain to the jury what Pathways is and the connection with DCF and with Safe Children Coalition?
Okay, so if a child is removed from their parents' care, that's done by the child protection investigator.
Is that CPI? They've heard a lot of initials. CPI.
Well, I didn't know. CPI
that's
are the acronym for
Okay.
child protection investigator. So after that the child's been sheltered by the state. So CPI doesn't keep the case forever. They transfer it over to what's called case management, and then we try to start working with the families, the children, to help get them in the services to hopefully rectify the reasons that the child was removed from their care.
All right. And how is Pathways connected to Safe Children Coalition, if the jury sees those words?
Right. So at that time it was Pathways, but since then the Safe Children Coalition, we are under the umbrella of the Safe Children's Coalition, their case management unit.
Okay. All right. And how long have you been working for Pathways and in doing this work that you did with the Kowalski family as a case manager?
7 years.
All right. So I want to talk about your role with the Kowalskis and that family. By the way, was your role with this family similar to the role you would have with any other family in the same scenario with
Yes.
somebody that's been sheltered?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, did you meet Maya?
I did meet Maya.
Okay. And if I suggest to you that the first phone call strike that. In addition to meeting Maya, were you involved with supervising Beata Kowalski's phone calls with Maya Kowalski?
Yes, I was.
Okay. As of November 15th, 2016, were Beata Kowalski's phone calls required to be supervised?
Yes.
Okay. Were you also tasked with reviewing any written communication between Beata Kowalski and Maya?
Yes.
In other words, you had to look at it and approve it before it could be given to Maya. Is that
Correct.
okay? All right. In addition, were you also involved with vetting or doing background checks on anyone who wanted to visit Maya Kowalski?
Yes.
I'm going to overrule that objection.
Yes, I was involved in vetting.
Okay. So, do you recall your first visit with Maya in November of 2016?
My first face-to-face when I went
Yes.
to visit her at the hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. At that time, tell me about the interaction with Maya?
Maya was pleasant. She was easy to talk to. I was explaining to her why I was there, that I just needed to go see her and wanted to see how she was doing. I tried to build rapport, just being more of small talk, and she was showing me her favorite things like Shopkins, whatnot, trying to get insight into what she likes. I kept it as simple as possible because it was the first meeting, and I didn't want to cause any anxiety to her more than I had to.
Okay. In your interactions with Maya, I'll strike that. Okay. Striking myself. All right. All right, so let's talk about monitoring the phone calls with Beata Kowalski. Can I ask you to put up, please, 3197-0001, which is in evidence. Do you see on your screen there, is that an email from you to Beata Kowalski?
Yes.
Okay. And what is the purpose of this email that you sent to Beata Kowalski?
It lays out a parameter to make it a quality phone call, so that it, again, wouldn't cause anxiety to Maya by discussing these types of things. We want it to be a positive interaction, just what she was doing, going over her schoolwork, anything like that. Just to keep her from going into anything that related to the case or the particulars of the case. It was supposed to be a quality call.
All right, and at this time, these were supervised calls, correct?
Yes.
All right. So is the reason to please only speak English to Maya to allow that supervision to occur?
Correct.
Overruled.
I didn't hear your answer, ma'am.
Correct.
Then there were some other guidelines that you put on there. Excuse me. Do not discuss pain, therapies, or anything medically related. That was also relayed to Beata Kowalski, correct?
Yes.
Objection leading.
Overruled.
You also advised her not to discuss mental health issues, as you laid out in the email, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, I don't see in here any direction to not discuss the actual DCF case. Well, I'll strike that. We'll talk about that in a minute. All right. So, as a result of your role as case manager on behalf of DCF, did you then monitor a call with Beata Kowalski?
Yes, I did.
The first one. Okay. And have you had an opportunity to listen to a recording of that call?
Objection, voir dire.
Shall come. You may continue. I would like for you to listen to a recording that the jury's heard twice already. If you could play 2608A, please.
Okay, I'm recording this phone call so everybody knows. Okay, hi mommy. Hi honey, how are you, sweetie pie? I'm great, I miss you. I miss you so much too. I miss you so much every day. Every single day. You know how happy it makes me feel to hear your voice. Same here. I miss you so much, and I am so happy that I'm finally able to hear your voice too. Yeah. Oh, yes. What did you say, sweetie? I hope I can see you soon. I would love to see you soon. I would love to see you soon. We just have to wait for the judge to make the decision, okay? As soon as he makes the decision, then I'll be able to see you. Okay? Yeah.
We're not about the case, okay? Maya, honey, we're going to talk about what you've been doing, if you need any Shopkins or things like that, if you had nice visits with your daddy, but we can't discuss the case, okay, honey?
Ms. Laporte, whose voice is it on the recording redirecting Beata Kowalski?
That's my voice.
That's your voice?
Yes, you can hear my voice. So yes, that's my
How
voice.
confident are you that that's your voice?
I'm very confident.
Okay. Let's play 2608B, please.
How you doing? How is PT and OT going for you?
Not good. Okay. Bianca, we can't discuss any of those type of matters, okay?
Okay.
On Exhibit 2608B, which is a continuation of that call, Ms. Laporte, is that also your voice, again, redirecting Ms. Kowalski?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Why were you redirecting her at that point?
Because it was going towards her medical care. I redirected her about court because we had already previously spoke about that. It wasn't in the email, but we had spoke about it. So the redirections, I don't like having to redirect. It's better if the parent just stays on task because, again, that causes anxiety.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
It's better if the parent just stays on task and makes it light for the child because it causes anxiety. But yes, that was my voice.
Okay. Let's hear 2608C, please.
And what do you usually need help with?
My pants.
What happens with the pen?
I just can't lift them up.
You can't pull up the pants anymore?
No.
When did that start, Maya?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe a while ago. I don't know. Yeah. I don't remember when it started.
Okay.
TBH.
What's TBH?
Yep. I don't believe I left that line of conversation out. Thank you.
Okay.
That's my voice.
Okay. How confident are you that that's your voice?
That's my voice. I'm
Okay.
very sure.
Well, let's talk about how you had to arrange.
Very sure, yes.
Let's talk about how you had to arrange the phone calls. You were not present in the hospital when that call was being made and you were supervising it. Is that correct?
Correct.
So how would you, can you just explain to the jury, first of all, what schedules had to be accommodated, how you had to arrange the calls with Beata Kowalski?
Okay. So to be able to arrange the calls, I had my schedule because I had other cases at the time. I had to be out in court and field and all kinds of different things. So my schedule, Beata's schedule because she was working, the hospital because they have to be able to accommodate someone to be in there to help get her on the phone. And then there's also Maya's schedule because she was in therapies and had other things. So it kind of was like a chain that had to all come together.
With respect to this phone call on November 15th that the jury just heard snippets of, were you connecting with Kathy Beatty for that call to make sure that it happened?
Yes. I recall that I had to coordinate with the hospital, and I did a lot of coordination with Kathy because she would then have an aide available or somebody available to be able to accommodate the phone call.
And was it typical that in your role with DCF that you would coordinate with the social workers at the hospital?
Yes.
Following that phone call with Ms. Kowalski, with Beata Kowalski, did you then have some further communication with her regarding reminding her about the parameters of the call and what not to discuss?
Numerous times.
Numerous times?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not the only phone call that you supervised, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And if Ms. Beata Kowalski started to discuss one of those topics, would you then redirect her on those calls?
Yes, I would redirect her. I asked her in hopes that she would redirect if she saw it going that way, but sometimes I would have to redirect her.
Okay. In addition to the phone calls, you were also tasked with reviewing any type of written correspondence, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Between Beata Kowalski and Maya?
Correct.
All right. And were there occasions when Beata Kowalski would indicate to you that some of her email or cards or something were not getting through to Maya Kowalski?
Yes, there was times where she asked me why the hospital didn't receive the correspondence.
Okay. And on a couple of those occasions, you recall informing Ms. Kowalski that you hadn't received them, and she resent them to you?
Correct. Yes, she'd resend them, and I was in the habit of making sure that when she sent me something, I would also CC Kathy and her attorney, I believe, so that they would all see that I was forwarding it to the hospital.
Okay. But there are a couple occasions when Mrs. Kowalski was confused as to why Maya had not yet received her communications, emails, or pictures, and you had to have them resend them back to you because you didn't recall receiving them. Is that fair?
Objection again, you're saying. I'm sorry. Email meeting.
Okay. Okay. Do you recall, and if not, I can refresh your memory, specifically any specific events, times when you had to advise Ms. Kowalski that you had not received them?
There were. It wasn't frequent. It was probably a couple times, and once I received it, I went ahead and forwarded it to the hospital.
Okay. All right. But to be clear, the pathway of that communication was it wouldn't go directly to the hospital. It would have to go to you first, and then you would forward it to the hospital.
Yes.
Correct? Do you recall making arrangements for Beata Kowalski to have a phone call with her daughter on her birthday, on Maya's birthday?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And was that on a Saturday?
Yes.
Okay. And did you coordinate that with Kathy Beatty, that even though it was on a Saturday, you would volunteer to supervise the call, and Kathy Beatty had arranged to make sure that that call could happen?
Yes.
May I approach her?
Yes. Continue to scrolls.
Thank you. Now, is it accurate to say that you did not, or there were not as many calls arranged as the mother would have liked?
Yes, that's accurate.
In fact, that she would like to have done daily calls, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And was that just not feasible given all of the moving parts that had to be arranged, including the supervision time?
There was not enough people to be able to facilitate it every day.
Okay. sorry, can I approach you here?
Yes. Okay, you can continue, Ms. Cross.
Thank you, Judge. Sorry. Yeah, I'm trying. Give me 1 second, please. Thank you.
Now, Ms. Laporte, you were aware that Beata Kowalski did not want Kathy Beatty on these calls, were you not?
I don't recall specifically that she did not want Kathy on the calls. She would question me if Kathy was in the room and why the phone was on speaker, but again, there was only there was 2 approved supervisors, myself and the guardian ad litem, and then we have to have someone from the hospital. So if Kathy Beatty was in the room, it's because she was helping to facilitate the phone call.
Oh, that's not my question. My question was, were you aware that Beata Kowalski did not want Kathy Beatty on these calls?
I can recall a specific email where she had asked why Kathy had to be in there and that she did not want her on speaker.
It was a little bit more than that. She said,
Objection, Your Honor.
If you need to refresh your recollection, you can do that.
I shall.
Don't read it to the jury.
I won't. Yes, Your Honor. So, let me show you trial exhibit, although I don't think this one's in evidence, 2123-670. May I approach you?
Yeah, correct.
Judge, may we approach the court?
That's the exact language used. Would it refresh your recollection for me to show you a series of emails where Beata Kowalski addressed this?
Okay, you're going to read it to me?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I wasn't going to. I can't read it to
I'm
you.
going to show you some.
Oh, that's fine. I'm going to need to put on my glasses though. so-
Okay. Again, this is to you, November 16th, 2016. If I may approach you.
Yeah, correct.
And for your benefit, I just kind of put a couple of.
Ma'am, just review it to yourself.
Mhm.
I just want to make sure I know.
Sure, you can come up. And when you're finished reviewing it, let us know.
Can I see?
Okay, yes.
And one for you from December 6th, but for the record, 3217-0673. I don't believe this is in evidence, but.
Okay.
Does that refresh your recollection about Beata Kowalski's wishes?
Yes.
She did not want Kathy Beatty on those calls, did she?
Well, my interpretation of this is because I cannot.
Ma'am, I don't want you reading the email. Does
Okay.
it refresh your recollection as to?
It does,
Okay,
yes.
Then just tell him your recollection.
Okay, so my recollection is that she did not want her to be part of the conversation, so she was not part of the conversation. If she started to facilitate the call because she was the person available to do that, she was not included in the call. She never in any way inserted herself into the phone calls.
Are you trying to tell the jury that you reviewed every single phone call between Beata Kowalski and Maya?
I can only speak to the ones that I was involved in.
So you don't know what went on in the other calls, do you?
No, I can only speak to the phone calls I was involved with.
And in this instance, you would call her and then you would merge the calls. Is that right?
Yes.
And then after that, you would, and in this way, then that was your connection, right?
Correct.
And in some occasions, Beata would complain because there would be background noise. Do you recall that?
I don't recall that.
Okay, all right. So afterwards, I guess to make sure that you knew what dates you were on the calls, then you had handwritten notes, did you not? You would write it out.
I would. Oh yes, I did write out my handwritten notes.
And then later you would, I guess, transpose the handwritten notes to writing, right? You would type it up, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you produced the typed versions here, have you not?
They're part of our system,
Right.
so they're in the system.
Where are the handwritten notes?
The handwritten notes are in my office.
All right. Well, I thought you had said before that you destroyed the handwritten notes,
I never said I destroyed the handwritten notes.
but you do not have them here today.
No.
All right. So now the reason that you were monitoring these was to keep Maya safe. Is that right? To help promote her health and her safety, so forth. Right?
Monitoring the calls,
Yeah.
just so that I could facilitate a phone call between a mother and a child, was really the main reason for the calls.
I understand. But the idea was to keep Maya safe or free of harm from issues or things that might be communicated to her. Is that right?
Objection sustained.
Are you aware that the testimony about that one call there there's been other testimony here today that recognized that voice as Kathy Beatty's?
I was made aware that someone had said it wasn't my voice. I was told that two people said that it was not my voice, but I don't know who they were associating that voice with.
Okay, so they didn't tell you it was Maya Kowalski?
Maya Kowalski?
Maya Kowalski identified the voice as Kathy Beatty's.
Okay, that it was absolutely my voice. I think anybody that has heard my voice in here today and on the recording could tell that that was my voice.
I was simply asking you if you knew that Maya Kowalski identified.
I did not know that, no.
And who is Jessica Blackrick?
She's the guardian ad litem manager. She was one of the people approved to supervise the calls.
Right. And that she identified on those calls, some of those calls in any event, that they were Kathy Beatty. Were you aware of
That's
that?
incorrect. It was
Right.
me.
Okay. So, in this role, again, I can't get in. I got to approach to ask him before this question. Sorry, guys. Based on reports, no further questions.
I'm sorry, you say another question?
Yeah.
Ms. Crowells?
After the November 15th phone call that the jury heard snippets of, did you have communication with Beata Kowalski addressing, again, why you had to redirect her?
Objection, hearsay.
I'm just asking if she, okay. Did you, sustained?
Sustained.
Did you have further communication, just did you have further communication with Mrs. Kowalski, with Beata Kowalski?
Yes, I did.
1 minute, Your Honor.
Yeah, members of the, or on that one question, did you have any follow-up?
No, Your Honor, not on that one.
Really? That was such a good question.
Members of the jury, do any of you have any questions?
Yes.
There's quite a few questions from the jury. I'll tell the jury, I think I can ask most of them. There's a few that I cannot. If you know, what is the average time to process, get court approval, and communicate across all channels?
Do I know the average time?
Yes. If you know.
There was no average time. It depends because there was.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I can't hear the
Sorry. There was no average time because everything was its own case scenario, and we started whatever we were informed to do. We did it as soon as possible and coordinated the best we could to accommodate everyone and what was being asked of us.
Exhibit 2608, the phone call, doesn't have a time. Please describe the time email was sent in relation to the time the phone call was made.
The email for
I'm assuming it means the email that was discussed in relationship to that phone call earlier in your testimony.
right. There had been I had sent an email. It wasn't sent timely. I had been getting instructions as to additional guidelines to be able to facilitate the phone call, but I had already previously spoke to Beata, and that's how she knew the understanding, don't talk about the case. That was to reiterate. I had also sent an email, I can't remember when, I don't recall when, but there was phone calls and emails, and during that call, again, she did pretty well, and I just had to redirect her a couple times as to what the conversation was.
And the next question from the jury is, when you forwarded correspondence to the hospital from Beata Kowalski to Maya Kowalski, who did you forward it to at the hospital?
With that, I would forward it to Kathy. That was who I would forward it to. She was a social worker, so that would be my point of contact at the hospital.
Okay. Why did Jessica, the guardian ad litem, only supervise 2 or 3 calls?
I can't speak for Jessica why she only did. I don't know that I don't know what her schedule was, why she couldn't accommodate them. I accommodated them as I could, and I can't answer for Jessica why she couldn't.
And I can't ask the balance of it, but I just will remind the jury that I will give you the outline of the court orders with respect to this issue. Okay. After you sent the written letters from Beata Kowalski to the hospital for Maya Kowalski, did you follow up to see if Maya Kowalski ever received those letters?
Yes, I can't say that I followed up to see if she received all of the letters, but usually if I was having a conversation with Maya, I would be able to confirm that way. I would confirm with Kathy that Kathy received the letter. And to my understanding, Maya did get the letters that I forwarded.
Do you know if Kathy Beatty also stayed in the room and listened in on the conversations between Maya Kowalski and her mother? Or was there anyone else in the room listening to the phone calls?
Okay, so I can't speak directly to that. I will say that during the phone calls, they did help facilitate to get the calls to get Maya on the phone. I wasn't able to see who was in the room. My concern was that I merged the phone call. Maya was able to have her phone call, and she was able to speak with her mother. I wasn't questioning the hospital as to who was in the room. I know Kathy had facilitated getting her on the phone. I don't know how often she actually stayed in there, but she was never part of the phone call. She never intervened, never interjected in the phone calls.
Upon first meeting face-to-face or any prior or future phone conversations, was it made clear to Maya Kowalski why you were there to talk with her, meaning Maya, that you were assigned to monitor her conversations, her well-being, who you work for, or that she, being Maya, was in the custody of the state of Florida?
Okay, so from my onset of beginning to work with Maya, that's why I said it began at my first visit with her that I was trying to build rapport. So at that time, there was an understanding I was going to facilitate the visits, that she was going to have a visit with her mother. And that was also, I can't say for sure, but I would imagine, because she was aware of the phone call, that the hospital would have discussed with her too, that she was going to be having phone calls with her mother.
Next question. Are you telling this jury that only you monitored Maya's phone calls?
No, I'm not. I'm saying I can only speak to the phone calls that I monitored. I was aware that the guardian ad litem did facilitate phone calls. I wasn't sure how many, but I can only speak to the ones that I supervised.
Are you able to attest that all of your calls to and between Maya Kowalski and yourself, end quote, facilitated, end quote, by Kathy Beatty, were not, quote, listened into, end quote, by Kathy Beatty with or without your consent?
I can't attest that Kathy didn't listen to the phone calls. She was at the hospital. I can only say that there was no interjection by Kathy during the phone calls. I can't speak to exactly what Kathy heard. There was also aides that facilitated phone calls, so it wasn't just Kathy. Kathy would coordinate to be able to have either an aide or someone else sit in to get her be able to be on the phone.
As a person in charge, did you explain to Maya Kowalski when she was telling her mother she was having trouble with her pants, you stopped the conversation? Who was Maya supposed to tell, and did she get help?
I didn't stop the conversation then. That wasn't. I only stopped the conversation when it started to revolve around her the case, her therapies, and then there was a strange statement that she had made at the end, and I redirected that because I didn't understand what she was saying, and her mother didn't either. So I wanted them to just keep trying to keep it smooth. About the part about her pants, I did not interject at that time that I recall, because that wasn't inappropriate. It was just her saying that she was having issues with her pants.
And there was a request from one of the jurors if there was a way to tell who the voice is on the phone calls. I will tell the jury this. The jury is to determine facts, and that would include if there is a conflict in the evidence, it's up to the jury to determine the facts. Okay, with that, Ms. Crowells, do you have any further questions based on the court's questions?
I do, Your Honor. Let me ask you this. Do you specifically recall the dates of when there was some concern by Beata Kowalski that Maya wasn't getting her pictures, or would it be helpful to review something to refresh your memory?
It would be helpful to review something.
Okay. All right. Okay. I approach, Your Honor?
Date,
You may.
Yeah. You want me to establish the date?
that would be good.
Okay, all right. So, let me ask you to review this document, starting with the second page. Counsel wants me to advise of the date. Is that all right, Your Honor?
You showed him the document, right?
Yes.
So this is refreshing recollection, so just have her review it herself.
Okay, all right. So it starts there and then goes here. If you could review the document.
Okay.
All right, so can you advise the jury of when there was a specific instance and when that was and what occurred?
Okay, it bounces around a bit, so I'm going to start with November 25th. She had asked me.
Hold on a second. This was just refreshing her recollection.
It is, yes.
Right.
Now she's starting to read from it.
Okay, so
Okay.
did looking at the documents refresh your memory as to a specific instance when Mrs. Kowalski, Beata Kowalski, was inquiring as to why Maya did not receive some of her communications?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Can you testify as to what occurred with respect to that circumstance?
Okay, so she had said that Maya had told her that she had not received those pictures.
Objection, it's all hearsay.
Sustained.
Move to strike.
Okay.
The jury is going to disregard that last statement, Ms. Crows.
Was there a specific time when you had to request that the documents be sent to you again by Beata Kowalski?
Yes.
And when you received them again, did you then forward them on to the hospital?
Yes, I did. And I CC'd the hospital, the attorney, everyone, so they would see that I forwarded them.
Okay, all right. And when was that specific instance? Without you can refresh your memory by looking at the document. When had she originally sent them to you, and when did you receive them again?
December 1st, and I forwarded them on, and it had the mother's attorney and Kathy on it, and I asked if she could please print them, that they'd be in color, and they would be nicer for Maya.
Okay, that was when you were forwarding them on the second time you had received them, correct?
It was, to my recall, only the first time I'd received them. I don't know where the initial email went.
Okay, all right. Okay. There was a question about you redirecting with regard to the pants. Could we play 2608C again, Your Honor? That's that snippet about the pants and when the redirection occurred.
Yes.
And what do you usually need help with?
My pants.
What happens with the pants?
I just can't lift them up.
You can't pull up the pants anymore?
No.
But when did that start, Maya?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe a while ago. I don't know. Yeah. I don't remember when it started.
Okay.
TBH.
What's PBH?
Yeah, I know Reed, I left that line of conversation out, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, just a minute. I have to ask you a question. Okay. All right, so having listened to that recording again, at what point in that phone call did you redirect Beata Kowalski?
When the acronym PDH was used, and Maya, Beata didn't understand it either, so I didn't want them to waste time trying to figure that out when they could just go on with the conversation.
Okay. And do you remember this conversation, monitoring this phone call? Do you have a memory of doing that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And having listened to it again, any question that is you supervising the call and the voice on the recording?
There's no question it's me. It's absolutely me.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
My question is a little different. Maya says on that recording, I can't pull my pants up anymore, right?
Yes.
And then Beata says, when did that start? Right?
Yes.
Did it cross your mind at that time that perhaps Maya was complaining about something significant, a loss in strength perhaps?
Objection leading, Your Honor.
Overruled.
At that time, if she was saying that she was having problems pulling up her pants, I wouldn't have known what the reasoning would have been. I maybe would have followed up with the hospital to just ensure that she was getting that indeed was happening, and if she could get help. That was not something that I associated. I was focused on them having a quality call. I wasn't trying to overanalyze everything. I was just trying to keep it smooth and comfortable so she could have a quality call.
Well, this is a 10-year-old who is complaining she can't pull up my pants anymore. Did you think to follow up or let Beata follow up on that?
Beata could have followed up on it, and I don't recall if I did or not, but most conversations that sounded like they needed to be taken to another person, I would have. I can't say I did, though.
Well, you said Beata didn't understand it. Are you capable of reading Beata's mind? Is that part of your
I
abilities?
said I don't know if Beata followed up.
Okay. Well, you did not follow up, is the point here, did you?
I don't recall if I did or not. I spoke to the hospital quite often. So if there was any discomforts for Maya, I would have addressed that and asked about it.
Well, you have extensive notes on this, and presumably you reviewed those before you came here, right?
Yes.
And nowhere in those notes does it say that you addressed anyone at the hospital with this particular complaint of Maya's, does it?
No, not that I recall, no.
Isn't your job supposed to be to help protect Maya and to be concerned about her health?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
What, if anything, is your job there?
Objection.
So
Sustained.
Do you know what Miss Beatty did or said to Maya after any of the calls you monitored?
no, I didn't follow up with Miss Beatty after the phone calls.
Would it be true that you do not know specifically whether each correspondence, other writing that Beata sent through you to Beatty ever reached Maya?
Yes, I would ask. I had conversations with Maya. I would be able to confirm if she received them.
Again, you took extensive notes through this, did you not?
Yes.
Nowhere in those notes did you complete a log on the things that were given to you to give to Beatty, to give to Maya. True?
I had email.
Was there a log or not?
That's my log. That's my in writing.
Were you involved at all in Beata attempting to give her daughter a Christmas dress?
That I don't recall.
Do you recall the Kowalskis trying to deliver a Christmas dress to Maya?
That's not something that comes to mind for me. It was not something that I would have, I had in any notes. I don't recall that.
I could have sworn you testified that this was your job, that you were supposed to oversee these interactions.
Objection, Your Honor.
Is that true?
Sustained. Sustained.
All right.
You need to answer that.
Then, how much did you know at this point about Kathy Beatty's? First, You weren't a psychologist as of
Can I see the
2016,
attorney
were
for
you?
a second, please?
And again, you would have no way of knowing what was going on in Miss Beatty's mind insofar as transfer of any of those letters, would you?
Not in her mind, but if Maya was receiving them, I don't know that it was an issue.
I want to ask a question, but no further questions.
Anything further, Ms. Cross?
No, Your Honor.
And members of the jury, do you have any further questions? Okay, ma'am, there's a few more questions for you. I think I've got all but one question that I'm allowed to ask. Do you think the letters Maya Kowalski used were TBH, short for to be honest, such as I'm not sure TBH?
I really didn't reflect on it that much. I just didn't know where it was going, and the mom didn't understand it, so I figured we'd move along.
If you know, how many phone calls were made in total in the 3 months that Maya Kowalski was in Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital?
I don't know in total how many phone calls were made.
Were all the calls so awkward?
No, the first one was, it was just getting it to where, the first one was was very awkward because it was mom trying to do what she had to do to be able to have a conversation with her daughter within parameters that had been set, and it got better. And I believe there was a level of trust. I can't speak for Beata, but I can by the way that the emails progressively got better. She knew I was sending stuff to the hospital. Maya was able to relate that she received it. Pictures Maya had made and like little things that she'd make for her mom were brought home to her. So that was showing a progression of it getting better.
If the calls were recorded for screening purposes, why weren't the participants required to be identified in the recording, as well as who was the facilitator in the room with each call?
Well, it was a merging call for Maya, and it was to be between Maya and her mother, so we weren't going to make announcements who's on the call because it was between, again, a mother and a child, and just trying to have them have as best a phone call as they were able to have.
Any further questions, Ms. Quarles?
Yes. Who was recording the call?
I don't know. Well, Beata recorded a few calls.
Right, the call that we listened to,
Right.
was that recorded by Beata?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything further?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
I've got another jury question. did you facilitate the turning in of the dress that was being discussed earlier?
No.
Did you know that it resided in Beata's office? I apologize. Did you know that it, meaning the dress, resided in Miss Beatty's office?
I wasn't aware. There were family members bringing clothes, so that wasn't something I would have facilitated or been involved in.
Did you know it was not timely given to Maya Kowalski?
The only reason I know that she didn't get it immediately is upon reviewing the emails. I noted that Jack had asked about them, and then they were I don't know when they had been dropped off, but she had went ahead and gone and brought them to her room.
Ms. Quarles, anything further?
No, Your Honor.
No, Judge.
May this witness be excused at this point?
No, Your Honor.
No. Subject to being under subpoena? Okay. Members of the jury, I think we need to take a break. We've been here for a little bit of time. Let's try to keep it to 15 minutes. Do not discuss this case amongst yourselves. Do not do any investigation and receive no information. The jury's out of our presence. We can be seated.
Judge, can you give the defense 30 seconds to confer? I think we might want to do a proffer.
Okay.
No.
Okay, you can just hang tight for a couple moments.
Have nothing further at this time.
So no proffer.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Any proffer from the plaintiffs?
Crawford? No, Your Honor.
Okay, so may this witness be excused?
We want to keep her under subpoena, Judge, but she was excused at this time.
Okay, so you're free to go today, but at some point you might be called back, okay?
Okay.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Did I leave a document? Yeah, I'll take that.
Who's next?
Thank you.
Why don't we try to keep it to 10 minutes? Just reminder that at no later than 11:55, I'm going to have to take a break because I've got that meeting at 12. Okay,
Yes, sir.
10-minute break. And defense, who do we have next?
Defense would like to call Ms. Tori Nehis, please.
Okay. Are we ready for the,
I wish to bring to the court's attention, I mean, Ms. Nias has been deposed twice, and she had a habit of just throwing things out, like, quote, the mom was putting in her a coma every week.
Oh, hold on. The witness is in the room at the moment.
Oh, can we?
Oh.
This is-
ma'am, if you could step outside.
It's all right.
Nice. Very nice.
So what's the issue?
The issue is, I'm wondering if there should be a proffer, number one. Number two, maybe we don't need a proffer as long as we have some assurances that there's some control over this witness, and the witness will not be randomly throwing things out that she has absolutely no knowledge of.
Your Honor, I've discussed this with the witness. There's not going to be any randomness. She did 4 supervised visits. She's going to talk about those visits. If Mr. Anderson would like to proffer, we're more than willing to do so.
You know, I don't think I need to, as long as she's not going to do what she's done in the depots.
I'd also like to draw attention to the court, since we're on this topic, that Mr. Anderson did quite brutally cross-examine Mrs. Nehis about her special needs child, and she's very anxious that that's going to come up today. It has absolutely zero relevance to anything to do with this case. But since we're talking about threshold matters, I'd like an assurance from Mr. Anderson that we're not going to get into a special needs child.
All right. In this instance, the witness attacked Beata Kowalski and the Kowalskis for having a, what was the? GoFundMe. Yeah, it was a GoFundMe account. It turned out that this witness also had a GoFundMe account for the same reason. She had a child with a disability, illness. The Kowalskis did. It was a fair comparison, but it has no place in this courtroom for this, unless the witness is going to, again, comment on the Kowalskis' GoFundMe.
Are we both sides done kind of throwing elbows at each other? Are we ready to bring her in and conduct
so.
ourselves like we should in front of a jury?
I think so.
Mr. Hughes?
Ready to go?
Okay, let's bring in the jury.
All rise. Jurors entering.
Okay, welcome back. I take it some of you need some parkas back there, huh?
Yes.
I think I said at the beginning of the case, I don't really have any control over the temperature in this building. I'm sorry. Okay, want to confirm while you're away, you did not discuss this case amongst yourselves, you did no investigation and received no information. Is that all correct? Correct. Defense, your next witness, please. Mr. Hughes, if you can call your
The
next
defense
witness.
will be calling Ms. Tori Nehis.
Stand here, face the clerk, and raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Can you please state your name?
Tori Nias,
And you live here in Florida, is that correct?
I do.
You relocated from somewhere else, though, did you not?
Wisconsin,
How long did you live in Wisconsin?
my whole life up until 2011.
Can you please tell the jury about your educational background, where you went to college, any degrees and licenses you've attained over the years?
I went to college to earn an associate's degree in police science, where I graduated with President's Honors. During the time I was in school, I was hired at the police department and worked in dispatch and became a certified emergency medical dispatcher. I was at the police department 9 years. Within that time, I also became a certified firefighter and a certified EMTI. I earned a CNA certificate when I started this whole process. Clearly, I wasn't so sure on which route I was going to take. I just did that for about 23 years.
And what is a CNA?
Certified nursing assistant.
And can you please explain to the jury what an EMTI is?
EMTI is very similar to a paramedic level here in Florida. However, they don't have the I here. But in Wisconsin, we became a I squad where we're allowed to, as EMTs, start IVs, give certain cardiac medications, certain diabetic medications. We were trained to use the LifePak defibrillator. It just allowed our squad to give a higher level of care than just basic EMT.
And where are you currently employed?
I currently work at the United States Postal Service.
So it's fair to say you've worn a lot of hats over the years.
Fair to say.
One of the jobs that you used to have was with the Safe Children's Coalition, is that correct?
Correct.
What is the Safe Children's Coalition?
The Safe Children Coalition is a nonprofit organization that works alongside Child Protection Services, the foster care program. We do a lot of education and safety, a lot of resources.
And how long approximately did you work with the Safe Children's Coalition?
I believe it was 2016 to 2020.
And what was your title with the Safe Children's Coalition?
I was a family support intervention specialist.
And what does a family support intervention specialist do, generally speaking?
Well, a little bit of everything, actually. I did supervised visits. I would transport children to appointments. Sometimes I had to take children to the hospital to be evaluated by a doctor, take them to school or pick them up from school. I would help families with resources. Sometimes kids aren't always removed from their home. They just need resources within the home. So I was able to provide resources for in the home, and then also assist with child protection when there would be a removal.
And when you were working for the Safe Children Coalition, were there times you would work under a Safe Children Coalition manager?
Always.
Okay. And what is a Safe Children Coalition manager? What's their role?
They work very closely with child protection and determine whether certain maltreatments require removal or not removal. And as a team, we work side by side with one another, determine the needs of the family. Again, whether it's opening up a case for a removal or a non-removal, and we put services in place.
Okay. Did you work with a Safe Children Coalition manager back in October of 2016 and November of 2016 with respect to Maya Kowalski?
Do you mean my supervisor or a case manager?
The Safe Children's case manager.
I did work with a case manager, yes.
And what was her name?
Charlotte Laporte.
And did you also have a supervisor as well?
Yeah, I had several supervisors, but my main supervisor was Angela Murray.
And if I understand correctly, you were present for 4 visits at Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital in October and November of 2016. Is that correct?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And what do you recall about those 4 visits to All Children's Hospital in October and November of 2016 in a general sense?
Objection, vague, and calls for narrative.
Sustained.
Do you have a recollection of your 4 visits to All
Yes, I
Children's
do.
Hospital in October and November of 2016?
Yes, I do.
What stands out in your mind about those visits?
Objection, again, vague.
Sustained.
and Narrative.
Am I correct that you prepared some notes after each of the 4 visits I referenced earlier?
Yes, I did.
Do you think that seeing those notes from your visits on October 24, 2016, October 27, 2016, October 31, 2016, and November 4 of 2016 would help refresh your recollection?
Yes.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor, with a copy of these notes after showing them to Mr. Anderson?
Sure.
Counsel.
Thank you. Got to do some paper shuffling here. I have them out of order, unfortunately. Two. There it is. Copies here. Here are your notes.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Nias, I'd like to draw your attention to October 24, 2016, your first visit. Do you have the note in front of you?
I do.
Okay. Did you go by yourself to All Children's Hospital on October 24, 2016?
No, there was 3 of us that went to that visit.
Who else went with you to that visit?
Child protection investigator Cindy Zangari and a trainee, a child protection trainee, and I don't recall her name.
And you said that Ms. Zangari was a CPI, a child protective investigator?
Correct. Oh, Elena, that's the trainee's.
What is a child protective investigator?
A child protection investigator works for the state of Florida and responds to hotline calls for reports of abuse, whether it's a teacher, the school, a hospital in this case. And they go and meet with the children to determine what maltreatments had taken place and to determine the safety needs of the children to keep the children safe from whatever issue is going on.
And my understanding is that on October 24, 2016, you supervised a visit between Mr. Jack Kowalski, Maya Kowalski, and Maya Kowalski's brother, Kyle Kowalski. Is that correct?
Correct.
Before you went into Maya's hospital room on October 24th, did you have a conversation with Mr. Kowalski beforehand?
I did.
What do you recall about that discussion?
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
In your role as a Working for Safe Children Coalition, are there certain guidelines that people like Mr. Kowalski have to follow?
Yes.
Did you present any visit guidelines to Mr. Kowalski prior to entering Maya Kowalski's room at All Children's Hospital?
I did.
Tell me, generally speaking, about these guidelines and what they cover.
The visit guidelines, which I did read to him out loud, covered what he was allowed to bring to the hospital, what he was allowed to say or not say, meaning he couldn't say.
Objection, Your Honor. Are we talking, may we approach?
On October 24th, did Mr. Kowalski try to bring in some items to his daughter?
He did, yes.
And what items did he attempt to bring in?
Objection, Your Honor. Sustained.
Come.
Ms. Negus, going back to your October 24, 2016 visit at All Children's Hospital, can you please tell me what items Mr. Kowalski brought to that visit, please?
He brought an iPad, a phone, cheesecake, communion, shower gel, deodorant, razors, and shaving cream.
Were there certain items that you determined could come in during this visit and certain items that could not come in during this visit?
Myself and the child protection investigator reached out to our supervisors, and they advised us.
Objection, hearsay.
She can answer that question.
The child protection investigator supervisors advised us what items could be left at the hospital and given to Maya and what items would not be allowed.
What items were allowed in during this visit?
She was allowed to have the shower gel, the nail polish remover, and the other items were taken, and I personally delivered them to the child protection investigators at their office and turned them over to Dee Dee Cooper, is the person's name.
At any point, did you take a look at Maya Kowalski's refrigerator in her hospital room at All Children's Hospital?
I did.
What did you find in Maya Kowalski's refrigerator?
There was chocolate cake and other food items.
What did you do with the chocolate cake and the food items in the refrigerator, ma'am?
Seeing as the child protection investigator supervisors advised us that no outside food was allowed, that food was also taken that day.
And hearsay, I move to strike.
For knowledge.
Overruled.
And Ms. Nihas, can you please tell the jury what items were not allowed in during this first visit? If you could list them off for the jury, please.
She was not allowed the cheesecake, the cell phone, the iPad, and the communion.
And I asked you about the refrigerator. Where did you take the items from the refrigerator again?
All of the food items and everything that I confiscated, I turned them over to the child protection investigators at their office.
At a certain point, did you come to learn that Maya had given her father some letters that she wrote?
I did.
What did you do with those letters?
I defaulted to the supervisors on what I was to do with the letters. I made copies of them and took photos of them and advised that they would have to be looked over by the supervisors, the child protection supervisors and my supervisors before they could be given to whoever they were addressed to.
Did you have an opportunity to view Maya Kowalski and observe how she was moving around, interacting with her brother and father during this visit on October 24 of 2016?
Objection, lack of foundation, lack of predicate.
Overruled.
What did you observe in terms of Maya's ability to move around?
I observed Maya to move around freely. She was energetic. She displayed no signs of pain. She wrestled, I would almost describe it as roughhousing with her brother, trying to reach behind his back and roll him over to get a piece to this game that they were playing. They laughed. She twisted around kind of behind her from the hospital bed to the floor to get something out of a bag.
Did you have the opportunity to observe her legs in various positions throughout this visit?
I did. Maya's legs were always in the anatomically correct position, like this.
At a certain point, did you come to see that there was a bottle of holy water and a bottle of holy oil in Maya's room?
I did.
Okay. Did you take the holy water or holy oil away?
I have to read my note. honestly can't recall. It says that it was in the room, and Maya couldn't tell us where that.
Objection, hearsay, that part.
Sustained.
Based on your observation, was there holy water and holy oil in Maya Kowalski's hospital room at All Children's Hospital?
Yes, it was.
What did Maya Kowalski tell you she was using the holy water and holy oil for?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled on that one.
You can
She
answer.
said that she would take the water and the oil and she would make the cross on her hands. And sometimes she said that she rubbed it on her arms and sometimes on her legs, but it doesn't always make her feel better. I had asked her where it came from, and she was a little uncertain. First she said it came from Poland, and she said her mom gave it to her, and then she said a sister from Venice Church gave it to her, but she was uncertain between the three which one exactly gave it to her.
Did Maya Kowalski describe any of the types of activities that she was participating in at the hospital, All Children's Hospital, as of this first visit?
I believe she stated that she was participating in arts and crafts.
At any point did you come to learn about her participation in music therapy at All Children's Hospital? It's towards the bottom of the first page of your note, ma'am.
Yes, she does. She did tell me that she participated in music therapy with a staff person by the name of Mrs. Kelly.
Did Maya Kowalski give you any description of the type of view that her room had at All Children's Hospital as of this visit?
She was very happy for her ocean view room.
At any point did you have the opportunity to observe Maya and her father use the bathroom?
Yes, he picked her up out of her wheelchair, carried her to the bathroom, set her on the toilet, and he came back out of the room. He did not assist Maya with undressing, nor did she ask for assistance with undressing. While she was still in the bathroom and she finished, I heard her wash her hands, and she was able to reach the paper towels, which was a little higher up in that bathroom, and she did not ask for any kind of assistance.
Did you ever have the opportunity on October 24th to observe Maya eating food?
Yes.
What do you recall about that?
Maya seemed like she always ordered grilled cheese. She had grilled cheese, I believe, chocolate cake every time I was there. I have to look at my note here. Yeah, it was, she wanted to keep the tray in her lap. She ate her grilled cheese. She had said again that Dad had brought her chocolate cake prior to one of my visits.
And approximately how long was this first visit?
I think it was a little longer because we ended up being a little late. I think it was just over an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
And after the visit, tell me a little bit about what you and your office did with some of the letters that you had received from Maya Kowalski during this visit.
Could you say that again, please?
Yes. After this visit, can you tell the jury what you or your office did with respect to the letters that you had received from Maya Kowalski during this visit?
We were advised by the child protection supervisors and my supervisors to take copies of the letters and photos of the letters, which a staff member at the hospital, I believe, assisted us with making copies. I took possession of all of those items, the food items and the letters, and transported them back to the Safe Children Coalition, and then I transported them along with my supervisor to the Child Protection Investigators building and turned them over to a child protection employee by the name of Dee Dee Cooper.
Did you ever observe Maya Kowalski crossing her legs in what's known as the crisscross applesauce or Indian-style position during this first visit?
Yes, many times. She sat on her feet Indian style, or what did you, crisscross applesauce?
Yeah, that's what the new kids are
Kind of
calling
old, sorry. Crisscross applesauce position. She did that frequently.
From your vantage point, did it appear as if Maya Kowalski was in pain during this first visit?
Maya never displayed any symptoms of pain, not one.
From your vantage point, did it seem as if Maya was being appropriately cared for by the hospital as of this first visit?
Objection, foundation predicate.
Overruled. You can answer.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. So from your vantage point, did it appear as if Maya was being cared for appropriately at the hospital as of your first visit on October 24 of 2016?
Oh, absolutely.
I'd like to now draw your attention to your second supervised visit, and this is your October 27, 2016 visit. Let me know when you have
I have
that
it.
note in front of you.
Which one?
The second visit would be of October 27,
You actually
2016.
I'm sorry, you gave me two of the same visit. I have two October 31st, but I do not have the 27th.
Don't have the 27th. Okay. I have it. I can give you my copy if you'd like. I'll disregard the highlighting on it.
The only ones I have up here is the 24th, the 31st, and the 4th.
Sure. Here, I'll approach the witness. Your Honor, is it okay?
Yes.
Here's the duplicate.
Oh, sorry about that. I apologize. So, turning now to your October 27, 2016 visit, am I correct that Kyle was not present for that visit?
That's correct.
Who was present for this visit?
Mr. Kowalski?
And who else? Well, it's kind of a trick question. It was Jack Kowalski and who was he there to visit?
Oh, Maya Kowalski, sorry.
Right, sorry. Poorly worded question, I apologize. What do you recall about Mr. Kowalski bringing items to his daughter on this second visit?
Well, when we met in the lobby, I again read over the visitation guidelines where it was explained again that he wasn't allowed to bring in.
Right, but just did Mr. Kowalski attempt to bring some things in during this second visit?
Yes, he brought several bags with him full of a couple of toys and some items Maya requested, I believe via the hospital, for a Halloween costume because they were going to participate in what the hospital calls as reverse trick-or-treating.
And am I correct that some games were brought in, mascara, lipstick, paint, clothing, and a Harley Quinn Halloween costume were all brought in?
Yes, also an alligator dentist toy and a new Shopkins board game.
Were all of those materials allowed in during this second visit?
All of those items were allowed to be given to Maya.
Did you have the opportunity to observe Maya Kowalski engaging physically during this visit on October 27 of 2016?
What do you mean physically?
Paint a picture for the jury about how Maya seemed to you physically while you observed her during this visit.
Maya seemed very playful, happy to see her father. She moved about freely. She never once displayed any signs of pain. She moved around. They kind of played, and she danced back and forth, rocking around with her dad.
Was she smiling and laughing?
Yes.
Was she able to move her legs?
Yes.
Was she able to reach her arms up to the sky?
Yes, she did this.
And again, did you ever see her sitting in the Indian style or crisscross applesauce?
Many, many times.
What do you recall about Maya telling you about her visits from various superheroes while she was at All Children's Hospital?
She stated that All Children's Hospital had superheroes come in and visit the kids. I believe she said it was Batman, Batwoman, and what she referred to as the Green Guy, which we later determined was the Green Hornet.
And like the first visit, on this second visit, did you come into the receipt of some letters that Maya had drafted that she wanted sent to other folks?
I believe it was in this visit, but let me double check, please.
Sure, take your time.
Yeah, she had written letters to some people, and I took photos of all of the letters, and there was also a check that had been given to her.
And what did you do with these letters and these checks?
I took photos of them again and turned them over to the Child Protection Investigator Supervisors, as I was advised to do by Child Protection.
Did Maya Kowalski have any complaints of pain during this visit?
Not once.
And like the first visit, did you notice that Maya Kowalski's legs and feet were in the anatomically correct position?
Yes, Maya's feet were in the anatomically correct position. She could wiggle her feet around, her toes around.
I'd like to now draw your attention to a third visit that you attended, and this one was on Halloween. That would be October 31 of 2016. Do you recall that visit?
I do.
And you prepared a note after that visit as well?
I did.
Do you have that note up in front of you right now?
I do.
Now, turning to when you went into Maya Kowalski's hospital room, what was she wearing on Halloween of 2016?
To say the least, Maya was very colorful. She was dressed as Harley Quinn from the Suicide Squad. I believe her hair was red and blue. She had mascara on. She had a very short shirt with holes in it.
Did she have makeup on?
Quite a bit of makeup. She also had very high-heeled cork shoes, I think is what they're called.
What do you mean by high-heeled cork shoes?
Heels, I am not by far
Neither
a
am
shoe
I.
expert, but they were female shoes, but made out of what corks are made out of, and they were very high-heeled.
Did you observe Maya having any difficulty with her legs or feet during this visit?
Absolutely not. Maya moved around in the wheelchair using her feet to steer her around the entire time.
Again, were the feet in an anatomically correct position so far as you could observe?
Yes, they were.
At some point during this visit, do you recall Jack Kowalski and Maya Kowalski talking about Maya's feet and their placement?
Yes, I believe Maya asked her father if he noticed her feet go inward, and he said yes, that he did.
And what did you notice at around this time of the conversation?
That she turned her feet inward, and she never had her feet inward, almost never.
So prior to this conversation between Jack Kowalski and Maya Kowalski, you had never seen Maya's
No.
feet turned inwards?
Overruled.
You can answer the question.
I never saw Maya have her feet twisted inward or in any other position other than the anatomically correct position, unless when she was wrestling with her brother.
But she did turn her feet inwards when she had a conversation with her father about that topic.
She did.
Based on your recollection or your note, was Maya able to give her father some things to take home after this visit?
Yes, I believe this is the visit that she had 3 items. She had made a painting with hearts on it, and she stated that that picture was for everyone. I think it was a snowman ornament, and she had a card for her mother that she was allowed or was given to him.
Did Maya seem happy based on your observation during this visit?
Maya seemed happy almost all of the time.
Did you have an opportunity to observe Maya eat lunch on this day?
Yes, Maya, I believe, again, had 2 grilled cheese sandwiches. I'm sure it was chocolate cake. Hang on, I'll find it on my note here. Yes, she ordered 2 grilled cheese sandwiches, chocolate cake, no whipped cream, and apple juice and water with ice.
Can you please tell the jury, based on your observation, how Maya was moving about the room during this visit?
Maya moved about the room in her wheelchair. She used her feet well enough that I suppose any of us could use to steer ourselves around in a wheelchair.
Did you ever see her reach and try to grab for various items during this visit on October 31st of 2016 at All Children's Hospital?
I think she reached down from the bed again and was trying to get something out of a bag. And the bed itself it's a hospital bed, so it's a little higher up off the floor, and she was a little girl. I myself thought it was maybe not safe or dangerous for her to be doing that, but it didn't seem to bother her once.
From your vantage point and based on your observations at the hospital, did it seem like Maya was being appropriately cared for at All Children's Hospital as of Halloween of 2016?
110%.
And if you had any such concerns, would you have expressed those concerns to your supervisors?
110%.
I'd like to now turn to your final visit, Ms. Nias, which my understanding is that was on November 4 of 2016. Do you have your note from that visit in front of you?
I do.
And this was your final visit?
Correct.
When you observed Maya Kowalski on this date, what position were her legs in?
The anatomically correct position. She was also Indian style so many times.
Was she able to hug her father?
Yes,
Did you ever notice any discomfort when she would hug her father?
absolutely not.
When you came in the room, was Maya working on a project or any schoolwork?
Yes, I think she said was doing maybe science and math. She was doing her homework. The hospital was able to have teachers come in and help Maya.
So during the course of your observations, you came to learn that teachers were regularly coming to visit Maya at All Children's Hospital?
Yes, she told me that her and the teachers worked on a computer to do schoolwork.
What about the state of her room? How did it seem on that day?
Maya Kowalski's room that day was organized as much as a person with OCD would organize a room. It was very clean. She pointed out that she organized her shoes. She had them all lined up. Some shoes were farther under a chair that she was somehow able to get under and organize her shoes that way.
When you say she, who was the individual that had organized and cleaned her room?
Maya Kowalski stated she did it.
Do you recall Maya reporting anything about how her Halloween costume landed during the Halloween festivities a few days prior?
She was very proud to announce that her, I can't remember the name of the movie, what is it?
Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn costume got the most compliments.
And again, how did Maya physically seem to you based on your observation?
Maya seemed physically fine. She never once appeared to be in pain.
And did you have an opportunity on November 4 of 2016 to observe Maya eat lunch?
I'm sure that I did. Just let me find it in my notes. Yes, she did eat. She again had 2 grilled cheese sandwiches. This time the crust was cut off, a cup of strawberries. The hospital brought her a chocolate cake and a cheese stick.
At a certain point in time during this visit, did you observe an interaction between Maya Kowalski and some nurse practitioners?
Yes, I believe 3 nurse practitioners came in the room.
And what did they tell you?
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
What do you recall about your interaction with the nurse practitioners on November 4, 2016?
Objection, still false hearsay. Only means transfer.
Sustained.
During the course of this visit on November 4, 2016, did Maya say anything about the type of pain medication that she had been receiving at the hospital?
Yes, she was upset that they were only giving her Tylenol, and she specifically asked for morphine. She told us that she wanted morphine.
That she wanted, what was that?
Morphine. I was
Morphine.
shocked. Morphine, yes.
Why were you shocked at that revelation about morphine?
Because this child never once displayed any signs of pain. I have dealt with a lot of people in 23 years and a lot of serious pain, and she never once displayed any kind of pain. But she specifically stated that she wanted morphine.
Now, ma'am, at the time of these visits that we talked about, who were you working for?
The Safe Children Coalition?
You were not working for All Children's Hospital?
Absolutely not.
Have you ever worked for All Children's Hospital?
No, I have not.
And again, I asked this question after one of your visits, but After all 4 of these visits that you observed in October and November of 2016, from your vantage point, did it seem as if Maya Kowalski was being abused or otherwise treated inappropriately by members of the hospital staff?
Objection, foundation, predicate.
Sustained.
From your vantage point, during these 4 visits, did it appear as if Maya Kowalski was being appropriately cared for at All Children's Hospital?
Objection, same thing.
Sustained.
Did you notice any concerns with how Maya Kowalski was being treated at All Children's Hospital during your 4 visits from your vantage point?
Objection, vague, person vantage point, no foundation, no predicate.
Sustained.
You had an opportunity to observe Maya Kowalski on 4 separate occasions, right?
Correct.
More than 4 hours?
Yes,
At any point, did you have any concerns about how she was being cared for at All Children's Hospital?
absolutely. Maya
Objection, again, foundation, predicate,
She
no.
can answer this.
You can answer the question, ma'am.
Maya's safety was always my utmost reason for being there, to make sure that she was being treated well and that she was safe, and my vantage point is she was being treated exceptionally well by that hospital.
Your witness, Mr. Anderson.
Members of the jury, I think this is a good time to take a lunch. Do not discuss this case amongst yourselves. Do not do the investigation and receive no information. I get have them back ready to go at 1:30. 1:30.
I approach the witness with the documents.
I get it at this point. The jury's out of our presence. Ma'am, you're in the middle of your testimony, so while we're at lunch, you cannot discuss your testimony with anybody, including the lawyers. Do you understand that?
I understand.
Okay. Anything we need to address? Can I have the attorney's attention on me, please? Anything we need to address in the next minute or two?
No,
Okay, so we'll be back.
at 12.
We can take lunch, yes, and then we can discuss when we get back.
At 12:15.
Thank you, Judge.
Sorry, 1:15.
Well, yes, thank you.
Okay, 1:15.